Dog attacks appear to be on the rise in the UK, and many people are blaming one breed in particular, the American Bully XL. These dogs were involved in many of the attacks over the last couple of years, some of which have been recorded and posted to social media. More alarmingly, these dogs have killed people. 8 to 10 of the 22 fatal dog attacks from 2021 to October 2023 were caused by this breed, the American Bully XL. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the UK government has now added this breed to their ban list, which includes pit bull terriers and 3 others I'd never heard of, quite frankly. So we now know dogs with this lineage can cause severe, even deadly trauma, but is this the right response? Is banning the breed the right response? Many pet-focused organizations like the RSPCA say no for 2 main reasons. The first being dangerous dogs aren't really any more dangerous than other dog breeds, and number 2, that breed bans don't work. Before I look at those claims, I have to stress this. Most dogs really are good dogs. Being attacked by a dog is incredibly unlikely. Being hospitalized due to that attack is even more unlikely. Being killed by that attack, you get the idea. Yes, deaths have increased in the UK, but these are tiny numbers, 10 deaths in 2022. Anecdotally, but I thought I'd share, I used to pet sit. I've probably been in more dangerous dog situations than your average person, right? Aside from the consultation where I would go to the person's house and talk to them and meet their animal, the next visit would be me alone with that animal, with dogs in their territory. And yet I never once had a dog bite me or be aggressive to me in any way. Even these 2 huge Rottweilers I sat for, sweet as pie. A lot of cat bites and scratches though. Obviously we should be safe. Don't just walk up to a dog you don't know. Don't leave your children unsupervised with dogs. But I think it's so important to keep the numbers in mind and to always remember there is so little risk interacting with dogs of any breed. Also, I am specifically talking about the UK here. There's a little bit later on where I'm talking about globally, but a lot of this applies to the US as well. Let's look at the first claim, that breed isn't a good way to predict risk of aggression. On the face of it, this is obviously false. If breed didn't matter, why would dog fighters choose specific breeds? Why would they choose pit bull terriers and American bullies? What about Great Danes, right? They're larger, they're potentially more dangerous. What about Old English sheepdogs? They're pretty big. Bernese mountain dogs. Because Great Danes were not bred to fight. They were bred as catch dogs, right? They would hunt big game and catch it and hold it down and wait for the hunter, the person, to kill the animal. Old English sheepdogs were bred to, unsurprisingly, herd sheep and other animals. Bernese mountain dogs protected farms and carted goods. None of these dogs were bred for aggression and fighting. Possibly the largest study on dog breed and behavior, this 2022 study using survey data from 46,000 dogs finds a clear difference in behavior among breeds. Labrador retrievers and French bulldogs are by far the most popular breeds in the UK. I could find no record of either breed killing a single person in the UK. Rottweilers are considerably less popular, and yet they've killed 7 people in the UK since 1989. A similar number of Pomeranians are registered in the UK, a couple thousand. No deaths. Shocking. And this is just deaths, not hospitalizations or bites. Unsurprisingly, Labradors win when it comes to dog attacks because, again, they are the most popular breed in the UK. But again, no deaths. Because most attacks from these dogs are not on the head or the face. They are on the hands, right? They're biting the mailman delivering the mail, or they're biting a child who's trying to pet them when they're eating or trying to take a toy. Deadly attacks typically involve the head and neck area, and certain breeds are more likely to go for that area. This study of 334 dog bites at a hospital in Sacramento found that not only were a third of the bites caused by pit bulls, but these pit bull attacks were far more likely to result in surgery. Similar conclusion with this one, 53% of 356 injuries caused by pit bulls and pit bull mixes. This systematic review from 2020, German Shepherds and pit bull breeds caused the most injuries overall and the most severe ones. And all of that was specifically attacks on humans. Unfortunately, we don't really have reliable data on dog attacks. Other than searching your local next door, I don't know, on mine, it seems like there's another dog attacking dog or dog attacking cat post on there every week. So we don't really have the data, but it's pretty unreasonable to expect a dachshund to be just as likely as a German Shepherd to harm another dog or cat, or expect it to do just as much damage. Now, of course, owner input matters. Certainly, there are bull terriers, Rottweilers, whatever, being raised by unsavory people who are aggressive because these people are encouraging them to be aggressive. And it's possible these animals in a loving home would not act this way, would be normal, loving dogs. But the RSPCA acts as though all of the aggressive dogs have bad owners, and that's why they are aggressive. That's why they bite people. Or that in a particular situation, the dog was provoked and that's why he or she acted out. I find that hard to believe given the cases where the owner was seemingly a responsible owner and the dog seemingly just attacked for no reason. When a mother's toddler is attacked and killed in her presence by the American Bully XL she bought a week prior, are we really going to blame the owner? Maybe these people weren't actually responsible. Maybe they didn't train them properly or interact with them properly. Which begs the question, if these dogs are so finicky when it comes to temperament that they need to be trained just so to prevent them from killing someone's grandmother or baby or dog or cat, maybe the breed just isn't fit for domestic life. It's not a dog's fault that it's been bred for certain traits, but it also doesn't help those buying puppies to pretend that they are dealing with a blank slate. Positive descriptions of American bullies and their XL variety, de-emphasizing their violent tendencies, run the very real risk of obfuscating future owners of the traits in the breed, and thereby stopping those owners from correctly understanding and controlling their dog. And this doesn't just apply to dangerous breeds. I had a border collie growing up who started literally chewing on the walls, like the corners of the walls and the baseboards. Border collies are incredibly smart. They need a lot of activity. They need a lot of physical and mental stimulation to be happy, more than other breeds. Once I started taking her on long walks and running her basically till she was about to pass out, throwing the ball for her in the backyard, she stopped chewing on the walls. Everyone should be aware of their dog's genetic and behavioral potential, not only for safety, but for the dog's own well-being. Again, most dogs are good dogs. Most pit bulls are good dogs. Most Rottweilers are good dogs. The numbers make that very clear, but the numbers also make clear that certain breeds are more likely to cause harm and more likely to cause severe harm. Even if some breeds pose greater risk, that doesn't mean banning them is the answer. According to the RSPCA, breed bans don't work. Despite the prohibition of certain types of dogs in the past 20 years, 1999 to 2019, bites have increased by 154%. First, the point of breed legislation is to restrict the number of that breed in a particular state or country, to reduce the number of dog attacks by that breed. Number of bites having increased doesn't tell us what breeds are biting. If the same number of bites or more are caused by pit bulls, then clearly the ban isn't working. But we can't possibly know that from this information alone. Between 1989 and 2017, 48 people died in dog-related incidents. Of the 62 dogs involved, 53 were dog breeds not on the prohibited list. What? They banned certain breeds, and the vast majority of fatalities are not caused by those breeds. They are caused by breeds that are not banned. If anything, that shows the ban to be successful. More importantly, what of these 52 breeds, right? If it's a seemingly random mix of dogs, of breeds, that might make us question the ban, right? Maybe these attacks aren't linked to any specific breeds, so why ban any breed? But of course, that's not what we find. Looking at dog attacks again in the UK, starting in 1991, that's when the ban was enacted, to 2020, we see the same breeds over and over and over again. Rottweilers, Alastians, which are German Shepherds, American Bulldogs, and Staffordshires. And of course, for 2021 to 2023, we can add the American Bully XL to the list. So this does not show what the RSPCA thinks it shows or wants us to believe it shows. It only reinforces the obvious that certain breeds are more likely to kill people, including breeds that have not been banned. So not only should the ban stay in place, but it should actually be expanded to include at least 5 more dog breeds, is what someone who's not me would say. In other words, what does the science say? Are breed bans correlated with a reduction in dog attacks? First, I couldn't find any studies specifically on the UK, any current ones. There is this dated one, so I just looked at all areas globally. And many studies say no, they're not effective. Some do say yes, they are effective. This one concluded that Denver, Colorado saw significantly fewer pit bull bites after enacting their ban. Catalonia, Spain also saw a reduction in hospitalizations, Winnipeg too. On the other hand, Italy reversed their ban after finding it to be ineffective and costly. And we have this really cool study. They actually separated public attacks and private attacks. Now, you would want to do that because bans are really trying to prevent public attacks, right? By having animals registered, by having them muzzled when they're out and on a leash. Most owners are probably not going to muzzle their pet in their home. But even still, even when looking at public attacks only, legislation doesn't seem to matter. There are many more studies than this, most of them finding legislation to be ineffective. This is really, really important for an obvious reason. Breed bans cause many non-aggressive dogs to die. Returning to the UK, many dogs were euthanized for seemingly trivial breaches of their contingent destruction orders. These included a brief lapse in the dog's insurance, being inside a car without a muzzle, as this was deemed a public place, the owner immigrating and not being able to take the dog, and a stray dog which couldn't be rehomed. The latter two were caused by the DDA's ban on transferring ownership of a banned breed dog. It is notable that none of these breaches was related to an aggressive action by the dog. And even when dogs aren't killed, they may be seized and kept in a confined space in a kennel for long periods of time, and no, their person cannot see them. Look, I can't imagine. Oh God, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm okay. I can't imagine seeing a child mauled to death by one of these terrifying animals. They're terrifying. But I also can't justify banning them when the science doesn't strongly support doing so, and when I know some of them will be killed for no reason other than their breed. So dog attacks, it's just not a big issue. It is so scary. We watched The Killer recently, no spoilers, but there is a potential dog attack part, and I yelled out, no, when it was happening. It's so scary. The idea of being attacked by a creature, and there's nothing you can do about it. They're stronger than you. But again, looking at the numbers, this should not be a top priority, not even close. And the problem with reducing incidents for an issue like this with so few incidents already, it's just really, really hard. It's very likely going to require a lot of time, a lot of resources to maybe slightly reduce it further. It's very unlikely that any reduction would justify the amount of time and money involved. If only we were this fired up about heart disease. But death by heart attack is just not as scary. Yeah, like, have you seen some of these videos of these dog attacks? It's horrifying. It's a nightmare scenario. Anyway, the ban is happening whether we like it or not. Hopefully, a lot of citizens will apply for the exemption, which honestly I think is pretty reasonable. Neutered, all dogs should be neutered. All dogs should be kept in a secure place. Please don't let your dog run around off a leash. Muzzling is more controversial, but personally, if I had a large, powerful dog that if that dog wanted to get away from me, there's literally nothing I could do, I would have them muzzled in public. Mostly just to protect other dogs. Often little dogs and other people not having their dogs on their leashes running up to your huge, powerful dog. It's dangerous. And again, be safe. I'm sure everyone watching this, you're already safe. You're already safe around animals. You teach your children to be safe around animals, to treat them with respect, to not treat them as a toy. And I mean, no one here needs to hear this, but for the love of God, don't leave your tiny children unsupervised with dogs with animals. Even a small dog can kill a 5-day-old baby. And like, can we just stop buying dogs? That's certainly a part of the breed ban I like, that you are not allowed to breed these animals. I just wish it applied to all dogs. I mean, if we're gonna ban breeds, how about the inbred ones who can't breathe well, who give birth via cesarean because their heads are so large? You know, maybe those. That's it for me. I would love to know your thoughts. I would love to know if you're in the UK, how you feel about the ban, how others around you feel about the ban. I know many there and here in the US are very against any sort of breed legislation. And like crossing the street, like how do you feel when you come upon certain dogs in public? This is for in the UK or anywhere. I definitely have crossed the street. I mean, typically, if I'm with my children, I will cross the street, but that's just like a logistics issue, just the size of our stroller and the sidewalk. There's just like not room for anyone else to walk by. And 9 times out of 10, the person walking the dog will cross the street, which is nice. It's a lot easier for them to do that than for me with my brood. But sometimes they don't, and I typically will cross, but not always. Just the other day, this woman walked by with her really adorable pit bull. I mean, I did have a moment of like, I'm not gonna lie, but like, the thing was cute and it was fine. Nothing happened, of course. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed it. Like the video if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff from me. It really does help out the channel. I know people think subscribing doesn't matter, but it does. And supporting the channel with money, also very, very useful. Thank you so much to my patrons at patreon.com/unnaturalvegan and my members here on YouTube. I do post 2 exclusive videos a month for tier 2 patrons and members. One is just a vlog. The other one is a controversial topic that's like unrelated to veganism, pets, stuff like that. The last one was on teacher salary, and then I did post the vloggy one for November already, and I'll have the controversial one for November up pretty soon. Next week after Thanksgiving. Anyway, new video soon. I guess I'll share some dog experiences I've had. It's interesting. So one time my friend and I were riding our bikes and we were chased by a Rottweiler. Really my friend. The dog was like on the side of my friend's bike and like biting at her feet. I feel like it was only a few seconds and then the dog just like ran off and I don't know where they went. Any other negative interactions? Mostly just like dogs who were not trained. My friend had a German Shepherd who was not aggressive, but was just dumb as shit and was not trained and would jump up on you and get really excited, if you know what I mean. Just not fun to be around. Most of the interactions were with my dog, with my border collie, walking her and dogs barking or otherwise showing aggression and us going the other way. Or her, when she was really young, she would just get scared and just like, I want to leave. Like she did not like other dogs. And in her old age, she didn't like other dogs still, but it was more of just like, get away from me, I'll hurt you. But when she was a baby, she was so scared. She had a tendency to get out, just like someone would open the front door and she would gun it. And every time she would regret it. She would be like so scared. And one time when I found her, there was another dog. And I mean, she was almost shaking and I called her and she ran to me so fast. The dog wasn't doing anything. Now, there was one time, and it wasn't a pit bull, it wasn't a Rottweiler or a German Shepherd. I was walking my border collie and this big old black dog with a pink collar, so I'm going to say she, I'm going to assume it was a she. She didn't even like run up to my dog. She walked up slowly and bared her teeth and opened her mouth to bite like at my dog's neck. And for the one time in my life, I had good reflexes and I yanked the shit out of my dog. I'm sure I hurt her. We ran home. We were almost home anyway, and the dog did not follow us. Thank God. Nothing happened. It was a Labrador retriever. Meanest dog I've ever encountered. Literally came up to us unprovoked and tried to maybe kill my dog? I don't know. And like I said, I had no bad experiences I can remember with dogs. Again, other than just dogs being really hyper. Oh, I had this Dalmatian walking that thing. They are quite strong. Clearly did not get enough outside time and not trained at all. Oh, that was awful. The Rottweilers I talked about, so sweet. They were actually the reason I finally said no and I quit pet sitting. The woman who owned them, she owned them and a bunch of cats too. I mean, it was a sit I really enjoyed. It was really close to my house. And like I said, the dogs were sweet and like the cats were sweet. I get there for the sit and there's a note on the counter telling me that she had to put down one of the Rotties. That's how I found out. She didn't call me. I'd been sitting for these dogs, taking care of these dogs for a few months at that point. Like I cared for them, and that's how she told me. But that's pet sitting, at least for me. You know, it's not the pets normally, it's the owners. It's owner behavior. Going to a sit with a cat and going to pet them, and they're entirely lumpy because they are covered in mats. It's just depressing. On a happier note, I had this sit with these two cats, Taz and Leia. Leah or Leia? Totally opposite personality. Taz was just like, hey, what's up? As soon as you walk in, came over to you, wanted to, play. Like he always wanted to roughhouse with his claws out. It's like, dude, no. And then he'd be really sweet. Then he'd like, rah, let's play. He was nuts. Leah, no, just under the bed. I sat for these cats, for this guy for a long time. And at first, I could hardly even get a look at her because she just would not come out of the bed. And he told me, like, you're probably never going to see her, don't worry about it. Just look under the bed, see if she's there. And like, that's it. Don't worry about it. She only likes me. She's really, really, really skittish. And that's how it was for a long time. But every sit, I would work at her because I was like, I'm going to friend this cat. This cat's going to love me. And by the end, she would come out and she actually came up to me and she actually purred and I was able to pet her. And man, I felt accomplished. It was a whole lot of just sitting at the bed and just kind of talking to her, looking under a little bit, but mostly just sitting there, not staring at her or anything, and just talking to Taz and then putting out some food. And yeah, eventually, she'd get closer and closer and closer to the bed. She'd reach a paw out once she started to come out. Like she was so cute. So it was I know that's kind of silly, but it was like really rewarding in that way because she was so fluffy and like silky. I can't even describe it. I don't know if I've ever felt another cat like that. Her fur, so just pure white and silky, fluffy fur and really small. Like it made her seem bigger because her fur was so fluffy. But when you actually went to pet her, she was tiny. She was this tiny little fluff ball with a big old bushy tail. Oh my God.